The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Despite being in the middle of a war with Ukraine, Russia says they're willing to help the Philippines increase its oil and energy supply. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza gives us the front seat to the story.
With the continuous oil price hikes in the Philippines, the Russian government said they are ready to extend a helping hand to the country. The war between Russia and Ukraine pushing the cost of fuel products to new heights. Moscow is making a commitment to help the Philippines with its oil and energy supply.
We are ready to cooperate with the Filipino side and to extend our helping hands to satisfy the needs in sources of energy.
Ambassador Marat Pavlov paid President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. a courtesy visit where they also talk about the ongoing war.
As far as I understand, President-elect would like to continue his independent policy.
During the campaign, Marcos Jr. said there was no need to make a stand as the Philippines is not involved in the war. He backtracked days after and called on the Kremlin to respect Ukraine's freedom. Meanwhile, Egyptian diplomat Shihab El-Din Ibrahim also visited Marcos Jr. He invited the president-elect to the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Egypt in November.
He believes in the climate change issues and to be closely just following what would be the way forward.
Ambassadors from Denmark and Israel, as well as the Asian Development Bank President Masagutsu Asakawa, also met with Marcos Jr. to discuss various issues, including sustainability and energy efficiency. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza, We Are One News.
Philippines AirAsia spokesperson Steve Dailisan admits the airline industry is not spared from the volatile movement of oil prices in the market. That's why the Civil Aeronautics Board granted the petition of local carriers to increase fuel surcharge costs. In an interview with The Big Story, Dailisan revealed that due to soaring pump prices, the review of fuel surcharge costs now happens every month. But he hopes that this will not hamper the recovery period of the industry.
The periodic review happens every 2 months, but now it's being reflected every month. Thankfully, we haven't seen any drop in terms of flight bookings. A lot of foreign visitors are expected to fly to the Philippines, so hopefully the recovery period will not be halted in any way by the fuel surcharge or the fuel movement in the world market.
The Trade Department is looking at various ways to help consumers amid high inflation rates. Meanwhile, some manufacturers opt to stagger the increase in prices of some goods so that consumers won't feel the hike as much. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez with a report.
Incoming Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual said he's looking at a number of initiatives to help ease the pain of high inflation for consumers. One of these is to look for alternative raw materials.
Baka meron dyan na hindi pa natin natatap na maaaring maging source itong mga importanteng kalakal. Pwede rin naman mabawasan yung demand sa paggamit ng mga substitute products na pwede nating i-promote.
He didn't specify what substitute products they're looking into, but one of the most pressing concerns has been the price of imported chemical fertilizers. These have tripled in price because of the prolonged war in Ukraine, which in turn has led many farmers to cut back. Longer term, Pascual also want to cut red tape to encourage more people to get into business.
Na meron ng computerized system, yung gumamit na ng digitalized system na pwede nang gawin ang registration online. Malaking bagay yon.
Pascual says they will also come up with a system to make loans and financing more accessible to MSMEs, which make up more than 99% of registered businesses in the country. A key part of his strategy also involves linking sari-sari stores with the suppliers in the market, which is where e-commerce services such as Barapido Incorporated come in.
We operate distribution of goods to our partner sari-sari stores. We distribute to about 15,000 sari-sari stores currently in Metro Manila. They don't lose out they actually gain with the platform.
For now, manufacturers are trying to stagger the price increases so that it's not too heavy on the consumers.
So it's a merry-go-round, staggered basis, just so people don't feel the pinch na one time, big time, all items increased all at the same time.
But after several weeks of consecutive oil price hikes and continued disruption because of the war in Ukraine, Filipinos are left with very little choice. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
Phil Baking President John Lu Coa says bakers should not adjust the serving size of bread amid the slump in demand. Speaking to the Chiefs, Coa notes that he still sees consumers purchase bread products, albeit less frequently. He added that instead of making products smaller, bakers should just adjust their prices, since he says this is what will keep consumers long term.
I still see our members' breads being sold. Probably it's people just bought less frequently. But of course, we've seen, and I've asked our members in Phil Baking, that there's been a slump in demand since they started to adjust their prices.
We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Senator Amy Marcos says she is sorry for the crimes committed during the martial law era. But she maintains that her father, late dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr., was not the one behind these atrocities. Marian Enriquez with the details.
Itanong mo kung anong gusto mo. Go!
In a video posted on her social media handles, Senator Amy Marcos faces a man who identifies himself as an anti-Marcos. In the video, Senator Amy wants to answer what she says are age-old questions about his family.
Bakit parang gustong-gusto niyo pong makabalik ng Malacanang? Linano niyo po ba to?
Ako? Hindi naman gustong-gustong bumalik doon. Galing na kami sa Malacanang, di ba? Para sa akin, ang gusto kong ibalik, yung dangal ng pangalan namin, ng apelyido at pamilyang Marcos.
When asked if the Marcos family will apologize to martial law victims during the time of his father, dictator and former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., this was the senator's response.
Yung presidency na yan, maraming nasasaktan, maraming mahirap na desisyon. Pero never ko naman kasi naririnig yung tatay ko na nagsasabi na patayin yan, saktan yan. Pero kung may nasaktan, ako na mismo ang magpapaumanhin. Ako, Amy.
For human rights lawyer attorney Nery Colmenares, who himself experienced torture during martial law, saying sorry is not enough to make up for atrocities during the martial law era.
Ang problema sa sorry na hindi kumikilala ng kasalanan, hindi yan buong sorry. Paghihingi ng mga biktima, maliban dyan sa sorry, syempre may pag-aamin naman ng kasalanan. Paano ka humingi ng tawad kung sinasabi mong wala kang kasalanan, naging hero ka pa?
Colmenares adds that the Marcos family is still accountable on cases of ill-gotten wealth.
Ang sincerity ng pag-sorry ay ang pagkilala na may plunder na nangyari sa bansa natin at yung recognition na dapat isoli ang ill-gotten wealth para daman doon sa mamamayang Pilipino na kailangan ang bilyon-bilyon na yon.
Nilda Sevilla, sister of desaparecido attorney Hermon Lagman, is not happy with the senator's interview. Lagman was abducted on May 11, 1977 and has never been found since.
Dapat ang hinaharap at kinakausap ay hindi isang tao lamang na nilabel nilang anti-Marcos, kung hindi ang mga victim survivors ng torture, enforced disappearance, extrajudicial killing, at iba pang forms of human rights violations and abuses during the Marcos regime.
More than 4 decades after the martial law, families of victims of involuntary disappearance like Nilda continue to call for justice.
Sa pamilya ng mga disappeared, bakit sila dinukot? Ano ang ginawa sa kanila? At hindi lamang katotohanan ang hinahanap ng mga pamilya, kung hindi hustisya. Sinasabi nila na kailangan, wag mag-away-away daw, kailangan magkasundo. No? Hindi magkakaroon ng reconciliation kung walang hustisya.
For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Here's an exclusive from Reuters. The Pixar movie Lightyear will not be shown in at least 14 countries from the Middle East and Asia. Citing a source, Reuters reports that UAE has banned the film because it includes a scene showing a same-sex relationship, which violates the country's media content standards. In the film, main character Buzz Lightyear has a female space ranger friend who marries another woman. Homosexuality is still considered criminal in many Middle Eastern countries. Representatives from other countries, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Indonesia, and Lebanon, have yet to respond to requests for comment on why they would not allow the film to be exhibited. One Lightyear producer says she assumed that the movie would not be shown in China either, although Disney has yet to receive an official answer from the world's largest movie market. China has rejected other on-screen depictions of homosexuality in the past. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us later at 11 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.